Alrighty. I'll just go do something here. Just to piss you all off. Oh, fuck, this coffee's a bit strong. Anyway, I want to talk a little bit about van mileage and stuff like that. It's fairly interesting. Like, I've been watching Bob Wells, and he suggests that the best option for most people is a minivan. Not a fucking huge cargo van, but a minivan. Even in an interview there, Robert Witham, who, you'll probably see him around, he does photography and stuff. He's an older guy. I think he's living out of a Chrysler Voyager or Grand Voyager, one of those. Yeah, as he said, he gets a fantastic mileage that sounds unbelievable. 30 miles to the gallon or more. I doubt he gets 40 miles there. I don't think that'd be possible. Most of those Grand Voyagers are 3.3 litre, which is, might be smaller for US vans, but it's not small for Asian vans at all. It's bigger than all the Asian vans, to be quite honest, except one. And I'll mention that one in a second. In an effort to go and live cheaply, some people go to VanLife, but they sort of miss the forest for the trees in a way, because as Robert Witham said, he looks at the price of these cargo vans and they're fucking through the roof, high miles, and they're a big van, but they're big dollars for some high mileage thing. And you get something low mileage, treated well, looked after, only done the school run to take the kids to school and then go do a bit of shopping or whatever. Mum's car or soccer mum's vehicle, and they're peanuts. Some of them are like a third the price, and it really is like that. And all these people, well, we want to get a van, and I know in England cargo vans are are cheap, very, very cheap, from having watched something on Top Gear. But see, in the late 60s, England went to an idea of stop using commercial trucks and use vans instead. And I know a lot of you Yanks don't like the transit van, but my gosh, it was built to drive like a car. It had car suspension. I've seen video from the late 60s or early 70s of a transit van racing against Cooper S Minis and stuff like that. Some of the sportier British cars of the day. And this thing is keeping up with him. And he's going 40, 45 miles an hour, fucking drifting out sideways. This is like 1968 or 71 or sometime around there, They had a big move away from slow commercial trucks into vans. That was part of the change in their motor culture. And they had the Transit, and don't knock the Transit. It's a fucking good van. But as a result, they're sought after by everyone from removalists to flower delivery. And it's just, over here they got tax advantages, which makes them, it artificially pumps the price. So as soon as it's a pickup truck or a van, the fucking price just jumps like an extra third, because you get a dramatic drop in taxes. You can get them like with so many taxes. There's so much tax advantage to getting a commercial vehicle, it's ridiculous. It's actually got to the point where most people have a 4x4 dual cab and they drive their family in it, because it's more tax beneficial if you're a bricklayer, a carpenter, or to buy one of those dual cab with your front 2 seats and your back 3 smaller seats for kids or whatever, than it is to go and buy a separate car, because the tax advantages are so great. It's actually become the most sold commercial vehicle, and they're fucking everywhere. I think it's the most sold commercial vehicle, but you look around and the amount of them that exist, it's like, fuck me, there's more dual cabs than single cabs. And it's really become a case of, you know, and all I got to do is look at my sister and brother-in-law, and there's a fucking fine example right there. Both of theirs are both dual cabs. And it's really just a case of, well, this is a family vehicle, but then, you know, we can work it so that we get all this fuel that ends up coming off the business. We pay for fuel before income tax instead of after income tax, and you know, we pay this vehicle with all these tax advantages plus out of the business before income tax instead of buying it after income tax, and the amount of fucking tax incentives is incredible. And then these affect your cargo vans, pushing the price of them through the damn roof. And they really are. Like, it's fucking laughable when you see the price of some of these. You know, I can go and get a Hi-Ace that's 07, 05, and I want 25,000. 25,000 for it. And some of these bastards are still with manual transmission. You know, not like mine, the Hyundai, $4,000 with an automatic transmission. Admittedly, it's older. But even if you were to get a 2002 Toyota Hi-Ace, fuck me drunk, it wouldn't be under $8,000. It probably wouldn't be under 10. You'd probably pay 10 to 12 for the bloody thing. You'd never get one under 8, and yet that costs $4,000 for an automatic of the exact same age. Yes, it's a Hyundai. It's not as great, but just like, ooh. Secondarily, I want to talk about mileage. Now, you look at these Class Bs that people have got in the States, and I know you love your V8s in the States, but you look at old Fat Boy. $70 to $77 a week US. You know, if he was to come over here, it would be like $120 US to pay for fucking fuel for that thing. A week! You can save money by living in a van. Not when I'm pouring fuel into a 5.7 litre V8. Oh, that's taken, what, how many, you spin around the city of Chicago and you go through like fucking, how much fuel? What the fuck? You're begging for donations of $1, $2, and you move nowhere with this van, and it costs you an average of $11 a day in fuel. You can save money in a van. Not if the bastard's drinking fucking nearly $80 of fuel a week. If that was in Australia, as I said, it'd be 120 US, it'd be about 150 Aussie dollars a week. That fucking thing's go, what the fuck? Is this for real? What the fuck, me drunk? You know? Claims he's got the coveted V8. I really doubt it. See, when they get commercial vehicles, they don't go and put the fucking sports V8 in. They don't go and put the special V8. They don't go and put the one that's, you know, used in the fucking Mustang or the, you know, fuck that. They don't do that. It's a commercial vehicle. They just give you the most bog standard, basic, cheap thing, because that's commercial vehicles, you know. And maybe another interesting thing you'll notice, that there's some of these vans that, you know, you'll get a lot of these commercial vans that are manual, and now they're starting to be what they call AMT, automated manual transmission, which is it's sort of automatic, but then it's sort of not the automatic that you're used to. It's like there's a little wizard in there changing gears for you. You know, yeah. Some people don't like them, and it's these fucking idiots who try and second guess it and fucking manipulate it, and they go, oh well, I put my foot down and then it changes gear, so I take my foot back off for it to change it. No, you fucking idiot. You drive it like a normal automatic and you're fine. And these fucktards try and manipulate it, then take their foot off the accelerator and go, oh, what's wrong with it? It dropped back a gear. Oh, you're a fucking retard. That's what's wrong with it. You're trying to manipulate something that doesn't need manipulation. You know, so there's a lot of people that don't like them, and those people are fucking idiots who are trying to second guess and overdo everything. And people who drive it like a gutless automatic, you know, will find they're fairly all right. They're in the smart car as well. That's one of the first really common vehicles they become very common in, was the smart car. And yeah, so back to the whole fucking commercial vehicle thing. You know, commercial vehicles are made to be commercial vehicles. I'm not saying people movers are Rolls-Royce luxury, but I will tell you that there's certain ones that you can get, and the Grand Voyager is one of the more common ones with leather seats. There's a Kia Sedona copy that's known as the Hyundai Entourage, and it's only available in the US, and that's got leather seats and nicer trims and everything like that. But it's basically a rebadged Kia Sedona. By the way, Hyundai owns Kia now. They haven't in earlier years, but basically all the engineering's done by Hyundai, and it's only the outside design and the looks that are done by Kia themselves. Effectively, they're just another branch of Hyundai. And you'll notice there's a lot of engines that they're both using in both vehicles now, which makes sense. As I was saying, with commercial vehicles, so everything's the most bare, basic, run-of-the-mill. You know, you'll often get a manual, and you'll get the shitty little thin sponge foam seats, and everything will be meh. You know, the velour, no leather seats, and everything will be sort of a bit blah. And then when you go and get it like a people mover or a minivan, you get a whole stack of extra advantages. Why? Because they're not all super comfortable, but they have a bit of a go at making them nicer than a commercial vehicle. In that, you'll get more sand insulation in them. And you may also notice, not necessarily in Europe, not in England or France, but you'll probably notice in the States, and especially in Australia, you will get, if you get the right one, if you get someone like I have, I've got the right one, I've got someone who took the option, rear air conditioning. Now in some cases this is just mounted on the ceiling. In the case of my vehicle, it's not. It's actually mounted near the rear armrests. And that means that I can have my little curtain, or I'm probably actually going to have plywood backed with to lessen the amount of mold issues. It's either going to be polystyrene, or I might use expansion foam, probably not. But it might be that, I've got some laying around, closed cell foam. I've got some in here actually. Oh, this is the good stuff. Why is that good? Each bubble is enclosed, is not, it'll soak in a little bit from the outside, but only within the first fingernail thickness. And the rest of it is all closed bubbles, which stops any mold issues. But as I go to separate the cabin from the back, I still have working air conditioning for the back. Isn't that amazing? And this is what you'll get in people movers. So, and the other thing I noticed with that van, it is phenomenal heating system. It is fucking astounding heating system in it. And this is because it's made as a people mover, not a cargo van. And without rearranging everything, but I'll just point it out. Fingers crossed my little fucking light here is gonna... But you all know what that is. That's still in the box, but I got that half price. That's a space heater. Actually, that one in particular is a ceramic space heater. I am not joking. I have about 3/4 of the power of one of those blowing out of one of the 4 vents. One of the 4 vents makes about 3/4 of the power of that in the cabin. Like the heating setup for that is set to heat the entire vehicle. Once again, I'm thinking of using the little hole that, for the door handle hole to put a piece of wood in to mount a plastic pipe off that will take through heat from the front of the cabin into the back, so that I can warm the back of the vehicle and air condition the back of the vehicle. None of this would be capable of doing with a cargo van. you could actually heat the back of it and cool the back of it, but not really, not properly, not in the same extreme. That one has good rear air conditioning. It has the actual evaporator, which is your bit that cools, like your radiator piece. It's actually got little jets inside that. Yeah, long story, but it's basically, I can't explain it, but we'll be here for another 10 minutes. That's your actual cooling radiator unit. In the back I can see the refrigerant lines coming in. One will be thin for the compressed refrigerant and the other one's large for the decompressed one after it goes through the little spray nozzles that are inside this coolant radiator thingy. So it's actually got a separate element in the back that cools. And, you know, while your cargo van will cool it, it's only really built to cool the front, and it's only built to heat the front, not heat the whole van like the heating system in that. Also they have a bit of a tendency sometimes to have, and it's actually fairly common enough, more common than you think, because Renault Espace, if you're in Europe, Toyota Tarago, which you guys might know as, I think they call it the Previa in the States, and of course this Hyundai Trajet. They got these fucking massive dashboards. Like, the dashboard's fucking huge, and it's like ridiculous. It's like fucking a 3-foot dashboard. You know what that means? You could put the solar panel on the dash. You don't have to drill any holes in the fucking roof or anything like that. You can put a solar panel on the dash, and then either hide it under your bed or up against your back seat later. And of course you've got your flexible cables, you know, you put it there, you take no drilling holes in the roof. Nobody possibly nosy bastards who know what it is and want it themselves and cut it off your roof rack. If you want to make it look like a normal van, you don't have a permanently stuck on solar panel on your freaking roof rack, because if you're in a bit of an area where you don't want to look like you're a camper van, well, you just leave your solar panel behind your seat or under your bed or whatever, you know, and then you put it on the dash when you want. Why? Because you've got a phenomenal sized dash that can fit an 80-watt solar panel straight on the dash. Hell, the damn Toyota Trago, I reckon you could, or Toyota Previa, whatever you want to call it, I reckon you could fit a 120-watt on the bloody dash of them things. You know, and that's another option there. Now, let's cut to the fucking chase about this fuel consumption. How are you going to save money if you blow so much on running a 5.7 litre or a 5 litre V8 in a van? Like, it's just, whoa, fuck, you know. I save money by living in a van, but then I piss it all away because I got an extra 3-4 foot of room in the van and a higher roof, but my fuel economy's worse than a fucking Mustang. Honestly. Oh gosh. You know, it's crap. It's a shitty fuel economy. And when you look at these minivans, they're phenomenal. And some people are claiming, like, rub it with them, oh, you know, 30 miles per gallon. Oh, I doubt that for a 3.3 litre made by Chrysler. I really doubt that. What I can tell you is I'm getting about 24 miles per gallon or somewhere around there. It all depends. You know, some good times I've got, I think the highest is like 25.5 miles a gallon. And with roof racks on it, I constantly get 23.5 miles per gallon. If I take the roof racks off, it's like 24.5 or something like that. Now, I was wondering, like, you know, it's fairly easy to calculate because we've got litres here and kilometres. 10 litres per 100 k's. A lot of cars are calculated on how much they use per 100 k's. So I know the old Fairlane I had, the 99 model that I used to drive. When I first got that, before I got it converted to propane, that was doing between 10.5 and 11 litres per 100 k's. Apparently from new they're about 9.5 or 9, and that's a 1999 model. And So I thought, well, you know, I'd like to get at least 10 litres per 100 k's in this machine, you know. And it is a Hyundai. It's a cheaper quality thing. And, you know, they're not really, you know, they're built around building them cheap, not building them fuel efficient. And, you know, it's only built by Hyundai, not by Ford. And, you know, and trust me, the Fords you get in the States are frickin' horse shit compared to the Fords we get here. They've got to compete with Toyota and Japanese stuff, so they bloody well do. And so they're up to similar quality. They're actually, the seats and the paint quality is better than Japanese vehicles in the Fords we have here in Australia. These are ones you're not going to have in the States in a lot of cases because they're right-hand drive vehicles. Yeah, well, stories have come out from people I know who've worked at Ford, including one guy in research and development, where they don't want to send those to the United States, even a left-hand drive version, because Americans will expect better from Ford America in the future if they knew how good Ford Australia was getting. That's the fucking quotes coming down from Detroit. Quite a number of times they've suggested making vehicles here, send them to the States. Each time Detroit, no, we can't have locals see how good a quality they can get at what price, because then they become to expect this good quality, so we want to keep feeding you shit at the prices you're paying now instead of good stuff at a slightly better price, at a slightly higher price rather. So anyway, I was hoping to get 10 litres per 100 k's, and one day there I filled it up, and you know, I just typed it in my phone, as I have in a little section in my phone. I keep all the mileage that I'm getting, and I just typed, you know, in the odometer and the fuel taken, and I just hit the reset button on the odometer, and then as I'm driving there, I still had the numbers in my head, and I thought, fuck me, I'm getting more than 10 litres per 100 k's. It worked out it was something like about 9.5, and I've had it down to about 9.3 or something like that, without too much of a problem. Very funny, they built a little machine that's, I don't know if it's 2011 or 2013, it might be 2013. GM, small GMs here, they're fucking shit mileage. They're not what you'd expect. You know, Suzuki makes one 4.5 litres per 100 k's. 2013, GM, 6.6 litres per 100 k's. So I get on the internet for them. Like, I'm tapping away on the internet to you know, I'll type in real mileage, not some government-rated one where they, you know, turn the air conditioning off and they close the windows and they literally pull off the side mirrors to give them a better mileage, and then that's what goes on your sticker. Fuck that. You know, what's the real mileage? Tappity tap tap in Google. All these people coming up. I have never got better than 7 litres per 100 k's. Then people with the automatic version. That's the manual. There's people with the automatic version. I'm getting 8 litres per 100 k's. On a bad day, it's more. You know, it's 8.3 or so. You're fucking joking. I'm like 1.3, 1.5 on a bad run, litres per 100 k's more with that van that has seated 7 people, with that van that being not 5'7", but being 6'2", I can lay down in the back of, and my head doesn't touch the tailgate, my feet don't touch the passenger seat, and I'm cracking like another 1.3 litres per 100 k's over this little fucking wedge-nosed thing that can fit 2 people in your lunchbox. You're fucking joking. This little pipsqueak shit of a thing that has no ability to tow, that fits 2 people in, is about 1.3, maybe 1.5 different litres per 100 k's better than my thing, which is built to fit 7 people. You're fucking joking. No, that's for real. I was just stunned that out of a car that you could literally cut from the badge on the hood right through the middle, and you could cut it in half and you could put those 2 halves in the back of my fucking van. That's how small this car is, and the bastard's barely getting anything different in fuel economy. And I thought, my gosh, yeah, that's that's good. That's good to have the fuel economy that I'm getting. Anyway, in that, not only have I paid less as a people mover, I'm also not forking out $80 a week, 70 to 80 US a week to fill the fucking thing up just to move around a city. I highly doubt it. I really think, from memory, it all depends on the fuel cost, but it's probably going to be more around the 40 to 45 US a week, I'd say, and that's with not inside a city, but that's the huge big hour and a half or hour and 15-minute run to the capital and back again, included in moving around the capital. It'll probably cost me about 45 US dollars a week or something like that, and that's not, that's moving in around a city, and on top of that, 2.5 to 3 hour run back to out here where I live as well. So yeah, but anyway, it's so funny how it reminds me very much of off-grid living. I had the idea that every dollar you drop, like every $2 less that you're living on per week, is a 1% drop in the quality of your life, or every dollar per week that you drop is 1% less better in the quality of your living standard. That is what I assumed before I went off-grid. Once I actually went off-grid, I realised my life is 80, and depending on your perspective, 90% the quality of what an on-gridder would have, at around 10% the cost. Yeah. So, your living standard drops by 10% and your costs drop 80 to 90%. Yeah. Doesn't seem to make sense at initial glance, but that's the truth of how it actually works out. My damn ear is whining again. Ugh. Anyway, and you can sort of look at this like a van. You lose the ability to stand up, and you lose an extra 4 foot hanging on the end, but then your fuel costs drop to literally half. So, how much you really lost? Well, you might have lost 20% of your space, and you've also lost 50 to 60% of your fuel cost. Have a think about that. You know what I'm saying? It may be, yeah, you lose the ability to stand up, yeah, you lose a couple of foot on the end. But then how you can compensate for that few feet on the end is get a cargo carrier on the back, and your fuel mileage is still pretty much the same. And really speaking, it just means that last few feet that you lose 4 foot inside and you gain 2.5 foot outside, and your fuel economy is 60% better than it was. Just saying. And then the cost of your van is fucking 1/3 of what it was. So these are things worth thinking about, because there's so many times where, God, my ear's still whining. There's so many times where you will have stuff where you make an assumption that if I drop my standard of living, my costs will go exactly like this. And you actually realise that your costs drop like a bloody stone, and are nowhere near comparative to your standard of living. And your standard of living from one van to another van, or from a very tight apartment to a very large van, comparative to your costs, you'll be shocked at how your costs can drop so much and your living quality doesn't drop to the same degree, to the same percentage as such, that your cost of living drops. So that's just a little bit of food for thought in terms of bigger vans versus smaller vans, and fuel economies and things like this, and living in a larger van, even like a Class C, and absolutely getting arse raped on fuel price and saying, well, I'm living cheaper because I'm in a van and I don't need this and I don't need that. It's like those people that my parents met. You know, they sat there and they said, well, we're going to get the biggest thing we can get. They got this fucking huge big bus, and it's, you know, big giant ass, big, massive, big 6-cylinder diesel, you know, like a 5-litre, so 4.4, it's some fucking huge big diesel in the bitch. And I don't even know if it wasn't a V8 diesel, to be honest. It was huge anyway. And they had it all worked out, and they said, well, we're going to travel around Australia and do this and that. And, you know, they never sat down and they nutted out the fuel. They never fucking Googled it. They never asked anybody else. And they found that they're literally 1 litre will get them 2 kilometres. So they can go on a 1/4 gallon. They can go, what's that work out, like 1.5 miles? 1 1/3 miles on a 1/4 gallon. So what's that, like? It wouldn't even be 10 miles a gallon, to be honest, because it's 3.8 litres in a gallon. So, you know, they might be getting like 8.5 miles a gallon or 9 miles a gallon or something like that. It's fucking, it is really bad. Now, hang on, what would that be? Yeah, it'd be horrendous. If I'm not incorrect, I think it might be like 6 miles per gallon or something. It's fucking atrocious. And then you've got to see what the cost of a gallon of diesel is over here. And you just, it's fucked. They've got to spend, they get, over here the payments are every 2 weeks, not every month. So they've got to sit there and they've got to calculate, right, well, they've got to spend 2 to 4 weeks in each town, and then all they do is just move another fucking 15 miles up the road to the next town. And that's it. Oh, we're getting around Australia, you know, it'll probably be dead by the time you get from the fucking down here in the south to fucking Queensland. But and they said it's just completely fucked them. If they had known, they would have got something that was nowhere near the size. You know, they might have got something that's more like a Class C, you know, or maybe a Class B or something like that. Not that we give them the same names over here as you do in the States, but they get something that's a bit more realistic, but they've got absolutely murdered on the cost of this thing. And I just sit there going, you could be joking, 2 kilometres for 1 litre. Parents are going, yep, that's right. You know what 1 litre diesel costs? About $1.20 US. So for every 1.5 miles, it costs them about $1.20 US. So you could say that $1 US for 1 mile. That's what it's costing them. That would be an accurate description, to be honest. So, because I couldn't really work out the actual mileage in US gallons and miles, but yeah, it's basically $1 US to go a mile. And they're sitting there on the old age pension, which the old age pension over here is probably, it's shit. Compared to some of the ones I've heard in the US, it's literally about 1/3 the rate, you know. It's fucking terrible comparative, especially if you spend all your money on a fucking giant big RV, you know. But, or a big bus and convert it, you know, they've got everything you can dream of, you know, water storage, full-size shower, the whole 9 yards, but $1 US to go a mile.